Hello, Fearless Gamers, Matt here for Fearless Games, and welcome to another video review. Have you ever sat down to paint and gone, what paints was I using on this project again? Or have you ever gone to the store and said, what paints did I need to buy? And have you ever ended up just buying the same paints you already have and not the ones you needed? Well, if you're like me, it's happened constantly. With my busy work schedule, I can go weeks, if not months, between paint sessions, and remembering what paints I use, or let alone what paints I had, is tough for me. And it's always been something I've been getting frustrated with and just wishing there was some sort of companion tool I could use to help make it easier. And thankfully, there is an app for that. paintRack by Courageous Octopus. This app is a hobby painter's must. It helps with organizing your paints, getting some color, helps color matching, helps with setting up a shopping list. It also sets up paint lists for projects. And it helps you take your paint collection from looking like this to looking like this. Nice, neat, and organized. Now, if you're like me, as you can see, there's a lot of paints there, and you're probably thinking it takes a long time to filter through all those paints. Not with their rapid scan function. With this, you just take each paint, scan the barcode, and then once you're done with the session, you click and view on all the paints you scanned, hit add to list, and it adds those paints in as part of your inventory, which is easy to follow. If you don't have the paint, it's a ring. If you do have the paint, it's a dot, and if you have multiple colors, multiple bottles of that paint, it has a 2 or 3 on the dot to let you know how many of each paint you have. My only gripe with the rapid scan function is it will only scan one barcode once. So if you have multiples of the same paint, you have to do multiple scan sessions in order to add each one to your inventory. Not a huge deal, but you know, it's just one little minor thing I wanted to bring up. But yeah, not the end of the world. And with that, this has a lot of paint companies. It's got stuff from classic Citadel, the stuff they don't make anymore, all the way to too thin coats. And they're constantly updating this list. I have yet to be in a situation where I had a paint that they didn't have. So they are keeping this paint inventory up to date as new paints come out and as paints change. So you don't have to worry about this app ever really going out of date unless they completely drop support for it, which hopefully they won't. And not only does it help you with inventorying your paints, you can add a wish list. That way you know what paints you need to buy when you go to the store. And you can also, and it will tell you if you have them already as well. So you can check, like, oh wait, it says I have this, oh, I probably need an extra paint or something. Or you're like, oh, well, then just remove it from your wish list. So really handy for when you're shopping. But not only does it help inventory your paints, which you can do in a variety of different categories, you can do it by, you can take the inventory of the paint list and filter down to, I just want to see Citadel, but I want to see Citadel's Air, and I want to see Vallejo's Game Color, and it will show just those colors. So it's a little bit easier to find which paints you're looking for. You can also just go into the settings and remove any paint company you have no intention of using, and you can always add them back, which is great. So it's even easier to keep track of all the paints because you don't have to filter through a bunch of different brands you're not using. You can only just have it show the paint brands you use. And on top of inventorying your paints, it also organizes paint schemes. I paint a lot of different Eldar. If you've ever checked out our Instagram, I've got a bunch of different craft worlds. And sometimes I switch between which craft world I'm painting models for, and I can forget what paints I used on which project. With this sets feature, I can now make little paint sets and break them down into small detailed subcategories like armor, weapon, fabric, cables, or whatever. You can go as simple or as detailed as you want, and in each subcategory you can add what paints you used in that paint scheme. So if you go away for a while from a project and come back, you can see what paints you were using. You can also add notes into each subcategory. So like for if you're doing if on your armor it's yellow, but it's a yellow mixed with orange, you can actually make a note 2 parts yellow to 1 part orange, so you don't forget what your paint mixtures was, which is a very useful tool. And you can even add whatever notes you need, you can add them in to keep it all nice and organized for yourself, so when you come back and start a new session, you're not sitting there trying to guess what paints you used and how you did it. And there's also a color tool. This can be used to help get an idea of what colors are being used for on a model, or to get a color to match a picture that you like. So like you take a picture, you tap on the model, and it'll give you a list of the colors that it thinks might have been used. And it's fairly accurate. I noticed that there are some factors that can confuse the algorithm, primarily lighting and paint technique. For example, when I airbrush my Titan, I had like a blend effect because it was, the fang, first the fang, and then it was Cantor blue, then the fang painted over it, and I wasn't able to hit a spot where it was just pure the fang. There was a little Cantor blue mix kind of coming through, so it had trouble detecting what that color was. So it's got its limitations, but it's a great guide for trying to solve what colors you may be using. And it also will give you swatches through different paints. So if you've got a GW paint that's no longer used, you can take a picture of it, and if the app goes, oh, it's this color, you can then swap to Vallejo or Tamiya or Reaper and see if there's any colors they have that match close to the color of the miniature. It also will give you lists of complementary colors that go along with the color that you took a sample of, which is great. There have been times where I've just been stuck as to what color I should use to complement color in a scheme that I'm doing, and this tool is great at helping out with that. And on top of that, customer service is phenomenal. I did have an issue with the app functioning on my phone, and they were quick to respond and dedicated to solving the problem. They never just stopped communicating with me. They kept going until the problem was resolved, which is great. They also are on social media, so it's easy to get tabs on what they're doing and like what their changes they're making. And also, while this is a free app, there is a paid for version of the app as well. It's like $3 or $4, and it is worth every penny. In the free app, you have access to the color inventory, the rapid scanning, but you're limited to like 2 or 3 schemes in your color sets. So if you have lots of armies or lots of different paint projects, you can only keep 3 at a time. If you pay for the app, then you have as many schemes as you want saved onto this app, and I think it is worth the price. It is not bad. It's not a yearly subscription. It's nothing like that. It's a one-time payment and you're done. So highly recommend purchasing the premium version of this. It also gets rid of the ads, which is great. And it's also available both on Android and Apple, so there's nobody left out when it comes to availability for this app. And yeah, so that is all for right now. I said I cannot recommend this app enough. If you haven't already, give it a look. If you have it, tell me, what do you think about it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What's your favorite function? What features do you think they should add? Let me know. I really like to hear this. And so thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, click that little bell icon, and if you like what you're seeing, give that like button a hit. We'd really appreciate that. And so, thank you all for watching, and until next time, fearless gamers, take care.